Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization, and this week's quick tip is really just a personal attestation of mine on what is, I think, a more decent than less decent way to behave yourself. Oh boy, what are we even talking about? And it's the tip here is don't brag about non-compliance. What do I mean exactly by that? So the thing is, a lot of people will do this. Well, they'll brag about the results they're getting, either in words or in Instagram posts. And I guess TikTok posts got to appeal to you young-ass TikTokers. And they'll brag about their physique. They'll say they'll post a physique pic, or they'll be at the gym with you and they'll pull up their abs and flex their bicep in the mirror. And you say something like, or comment something like, hey, that's really great. And then you read the caption, or they tell you in real life, and they say, yeah, man, it's not bad for, and then they give a laundry list of reasons why they're not in even better shape. Yeah, man, it's not bad for 4 hours of sleep every night. It's not bad for barely eating. I don't even fucking eat, bro. Man, I'm off subs right now, bro. Amazing, etc. They're not training right. They're not sleeping right. They're not doing any cardio. LOL, this is just off cheeseburgers. And this drives my wife, at Dr. Crystal on Instagram, if you want to follow my wife. Ooh, that came off weird, but I like it. Yes. We're always looking for a third. Don't take that personally, Scott the Video Guy. You're always a shoo-in at #1 spot. But you go on vacations. And we have an appetite, don't we? This is a personal pet peeve of hers, is when people who have taken 17 gallons of clenbuterol and 18 gallons of Tren do that picture where they're like have 3 cheeseburgers at a restaurant and they're sitting in there and they pull up their abs with veins and the caption's like, LOL, this is just me living my life. Tren. Here's the thing. What is the supposed take home of bragging like that? I know what it is. You might not know what it is when you're doing it, but I know what it is when you're doing it. And it is that you have amazing genetics. Because what else could explain the fact that you are in such unbelievable quote unquote shape with such minimal, or dare I say, derelicted inputs? And here's my big rejoinder to that. So fucking what? You have amazing genetics. Nobody cares about that unless you work at your genetics and make something impressive for your genetics. Because if you're a personal trainer and someone finds out that you just have good genetics and that's why you look like, which is a lot of personal trainers, by the way, they realize if they're remotely intelligent and think through this for about 3 seconds, they go, if my personal trainer looks like they look with basically just genetics, as they always essentially intimate to me, and they are doing everything wrong, I hired them because I wanted to look like them. I cannot hire their genetics. I should fire them and go find someone who actually knows how to improve bodies and does it themselves. I want a personal trainer that looks pretty good, but bled and died and worked for that shit and had to figure everything out because they don't have good genetics, versus a personal trainer or fitness coach or online coach or inspirational person who was just like, that's just sort of what God made them look like. It was a little extra drop of Tren into their primordial soup and boom, they come out just with cap delts for no reason. If you do have cap delts for no reason and you want to impress somebody, put in the consistent work and stop bragging about how little you do, because then you can actually become truly great and not just some guy with really cool looking delts at a random 24-hour fitness in Pomona, California. Sorry if that's a human being you know. And then tell him to start trying. Because there are people with amazing genetics that looked unbelievable before lifting. Brandon Curry, former Mr. Olympia, has pictures of himself from his childhood where he's like 14 and is jacked, never lifted weights, all the way, beginning like his college football career, barely lifted weights, basically looks like a natural pro. And you're like, how? But then what did Brandon Curry do? He bled for the shit for a generation and then culminated with one of the best physiques in history. And I truly think that physique's unbelievable. Also, if you see him in real life, it doesn't make any sense. Because you're like, oh, like that, he's pretty short, actually. And then he pulls off his sweatshirt and you just see him in a stringer and you're like, what the hell is that? His waist is like this big and his upper back's like that. I don't understand. He goes to a tailor because he actually gets really, really good looking fitted suits, as Taylor's probably like, the first time he was like, I don't understand. We can't go off a shirt template because your body does not look like it belongs in a shirt. What is this? Unreal impressive. But he earned that shit. And he wasn't always amazing. He had his ups and downs in bodybuilding. So if you have amazing genetics, imagine talking to Brandon Curry. Like you have great genetics, you weigh like 180 and you're kind of stripped up and shit. And you've been derelicting your sleep and your food. And he comes up to you in the gym. You're like, oh my God, you're Brandon Curry. And he's training. He's like, yeah, man. He talks to you. He's like, dude, you got a good look. And you're like, yeah, man. And then you hit your usual bullshit. You're like, haven't even been sleeping, and some off-sups and just barely been training, Do you think Brandon fucking Curry is going to be impressed by that? He's going to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying? That's what's up. Some like smooth black guy shit because black guys are the best people in the world at talking to random people and being cool with it. Because I would just straight up be like, get out of my face. And I get arrested again. It's terrible. Brandon Curry will not be impressed because he used to be you, but then he ascended with his blood, sweat, and tears. So if you have great genetics or whatever genetics you have, and you find yourself bragging about how awesome you look despite the fact that you haven't been trying hard, who are you bragging to? You're insulting yourself. You are insulting yourself because genetics is not an accomplishment. Like by definition, you born with it. What is potentially an accomplishment is you doing something about it. So you bragging about your genetics is like bragging about your parents' inheritance. Like, yes, I don't know what to say. My parents did leave me $10 million and, well, it's just me. It's just how I do things. No, that's how your parents did things. Go invest in something or whatever rich people do. Buy a Lamborghini for God's sake. Nah, it's not an investment. But really, it's an investment in yourself, into your soul. At the end of the day, no matter where you come from, where you started, what genetics you have, put in your work to be the best that you can be. Don't bother with little humble brag bullshit about, oh, I haven't even been training and this is what this looks like. And here's the thing, ready? Even I do this shit sometimes. I'll post like a leg vein on Instagram and be like, just start a prep. I don't know how this leg vein got here. Hey, Mike, shut the fuck up. See you guys next time.